Oh, yes, once again, I am so happy to be with you guys today on all these things on Resofrik FM, where we talk about all things and everything as long as they have a positive impact on our lives. My name is Oluwatoyi or Jayomi, the one you know as Papa T, the chief representative of the rare breed community of Resofrik FM. How are you doing? How was your week? Today, on all these things, we will be talking about something that I have constantly thought about, and it is the idea of talking about people to other people rather than talking to those people themselves when there's an issue. We as humans are fond of or are conditioned or choose to imbibe the attitude of discussing our grievances about certain people with other people rather than discussing with those people directly concerned. And what am I saying? I'll give you an example. Like, you know, you have an issue with me, and we talk every day. We eat together. We call each other. We claim to be there for each other. But then conflict comes up, just like it does in many relationships. And the first thing I'm thinking is to discuss you with somebody else rather than come to talk to you. This is very prevalent amongst us as humans. And it doesn't matter which race we're talking about, which tribe we're talking about, which religion we're talking about. I have observed very well that this is a constant thing that happens when people relate or have relationships. I have seen this happen in religions, in churches. I've seen it happens even in, you know, mosques. I have seen it happen among people of different religions. So it's not like this is happening because I'm a Christian, you're a Muslim. It doesn't matter. To me, it seems like a human thing. When you have issues with people, rather than discuss the issues with those people, why do you choose to talk to other people about it? Sometime about 20 years ago, I came across two people who had issues. They were church members, and many times when I see them together, they're laughing together, they're joking, and all that. But I was privileged to have each of these two people come to talk to me, and they're like, "Hey, Papa T, I'm just not happy with this person," and I'll be like, "Okay, what happened?" And then I hear from one person what's really happening. And I'm like, okay, have you discussed with this person? And the person will be like, no, I haven't. I'm just so mad. And now the question I ask is, but I saw both of you together just last week. Or I saw both of you together at so place and you were sitting next to each other. You were nice to each other. So what happened? And I don't get answers that justify one person talking to me about another person rather than discussing the issue with the person directly involved. Now, this is a major concern for me, and I just thought to bring it out here and ask why do we choose to talk when we have issues with people? Why don't we just discuss the issues with those people rather than discussing those people with other people? King, King to Entom, you're welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us, and Dorcas, all the way from Maryland. We're glad to have you on the show. Stick around with us, and if you want to call to contribute to this conversation, please don't hesitate to call +1 2 1 6 4 9 0 0 0 1 1. I believe strongly, just like one of my favorite musicians says, that everyone you know is beautiful. Everyone you know is beautiful. everyone you see is beautiful. So I have seen situations also when I was guilty as well. Like, you know, I'm in conflict with someone, but the first thing that comes to my mind is to discuss this person with somebody else. And it seems to me that it's the first impulse when we have issues with people. Rather than discuss with those people, we just want to discuss with somebody else. It seems like an evasive action in a relationship to not talk to the person, or maybe you think you don't want to hurt that person, you think you don't want the relationship to be damaged. Unfortunately, the consequences are not so healthy because ultimately the person you talked about gets to hear, and most of the time, unfortunately, there's a likelihood that the person you've talked about, to other people, when they hear the story, most times it's not the way you perceived, the conflict, as the reality. So I decided to bring this to all these things today because it is something that has bothered me for a while. And I just thought not to keep it to myself. I should just bring it to all these things where we talk about all things and everything, as long as they have positive impact in our lives. If you feel like talking about this with me today, please call 216-490-0011. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You can call us on WhatsApp. You can call us directly if you're local. It is healthy, to try that. And I'm going to be able to get to you. Uh, Talk to me. Don't talk about me is what I'm talking about today on Resofrik FM. And if you feel that you have been a victim or you have been a villain as far as this is concerned, please don't hesitate to give me a call and let's talk about this. Why do we talk about other people when we have conflict with them? Why do we choose to discuss this with other people rather than to discuss the issues with the people directly involved with us in those conflicts? Uh, we'll be more than glad to have your comments on Facebook and Instagram if you are here. Let's share thoughts together and let's see the possibility of sharing our experiences, whether you are the victim or you are the one that who was guilty as far as that is concerned. um i I had a conversation with a friend some time ago, and I asked this question, and the person was like, you know what, I never thought about this, but many times looking back now, I think I have been guilty of doing this thing. And sometimes the situation might just be that you do not want to offend the person, but you're already offended. So you are offended towards or against someone, you know, and the question the thing you the excuse you have to give is that I don't want to offend this person, so I would rather talk to you. And the question that I ask is, you don't want to offend that person, but you're already offending the person more by discussing them with other people. So, and they'll be like, oh, I don't want our friendship to get damaged. And the thing I also ask is, but don't you think by approaching it that way, you're already damaging the friendship or the relationship? And I believe that for the most part, many of us are guilty of this. I believe that we are guilty. We are guilty of not discussing directly with the people who offend us. We choose to discuss them with other people. And sometimes when some people hurt us or they offend us, but they happen to be people that will benefit from, except you're a very blunt person, except you feel that the person deserves, you know, that you bypass the respect you think you have for them and still tell them anyways, like, hey, you did this to me and I am not, happy about it. And you find a way to resolve it. But because you respect people, sometimes You just do not want to have the conversation. You become you become evasive. You evade the issue at hand, and you would rather laugh with them and everything. But as soon as you see someone else who is willing to listen to you, the first thing you want to do is vent. You want to talk to them. You like, this person did this to me, this person did that to me, and even though the things you say that they've done to you are quite justified, how about you get the people who offended you directly involved? And I'm just so confused about why we as humans, why we do this. Let me see if I can, in the course of this conversation today, uh, find some songs that I could play for you guys, so that we can have intermittent breaks. But if you're just catching up on this show, do not hesitate, to uh, send your comments in as far as these things are concerned. Let us know what you think about this experience of, or the culture of discussing people with other people rather than discussing them with them, especially when they offend you. I have a song. Let me see. What do I have here? Let me play the music of Devare. Devare is one of the artists that will play a lot. And this one is called I'll Make It With Your Love. Hopefully, I'm able to pull it within a short time. And yes, I got the song on cue already. So let me play the song right now and see if while the song is going, we can have people coming, call in, and we can talk about it. And that's the music of Devari, and it says, "I'll make it through your love." And of course, when you let people go based on you not handing them, not handling things properly, you'd see that it causes a lot of damage. Well, somebody says, "I cannot hear the music." So, I do not know. Olakomi Sanusi says, "Are you playing music?" Yes, I am playing music. I do not know what the issue is right here, but I'm gonna try and fix that, as the show continues. But Olakomi Sanusi, yeah, thanks. If you're listening to me, it would be nice to hear your thoughts as far as this is concerned. Why is it that when we have conflicts, we choose to discuss the conflict with other people rather than the people that we feel have wronged us? Is it a human nature? Is it a way to play safe? I don't know. The question has been on my mind for quite a while, and I just thought to put it out there on all these things. Uh, Sometimes why we talk to others first, stems from the fact that talking to others feels safer than direct confrontation. That's one of the things I think. You feel that if I talk to others, I might be able to avoid having a confrontation with this person. But what's the essence of a relationship when you cannot discuss with the people involved directly? Uh, Thanks, Olakomi Sanusi. He says your voice is clean and clear. Thank you. I don't know what happened with the music. Hopefully, somewhere down the line, I'm gonna try to play another song and see how that plays out. Uh, what I'm talking about on the show today is, why do we choose to discuss conflicts with other people rather than discuss these conflicts with the people we're having conflicts with? If you're able to reach out, you can call and share your opinion. And it's 216-490-0011 for those who are local. But for those who are not local, you can always use WhatsApp. The question is, why talk about me rather than talk to me? Confrontations, are things we avoid when we have issues with people, especially sometimes when we respect them so much, when we think that we've come a long way and we don't want to hurt them. But most times, what are the consequences of discussing people with other people? Think that we've come a long way and we don't want to hurt them. Hello? But most times, what are the consequences of discussing people with other people? Hello? That we've come a long way and we don't want to hurt. Yes, I'm here with you, Olakomi Sanusi, all the way from London, England. Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Hello? Komi Sanusi, I can hear you clearly. How are you? Hello? Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, actually, as I said in the text
Hello?
I sent earlier on,
I can hear you clearly. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm
I think
very well,
there's
thank
a
you.
kind of lag in between the response time, so I understand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, as I said in the text I sent earlier on,
I can hear you clearly. How are you?
I'm good, and you? I think there's a kind of lag in between the response time, so I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, actually,
Hello? I can hear you clearly. Are you there? I didn't mute you, so but it says I have been muted. Are you there with me? Hello? Hello? Okay. Yeah, I'll keep up the discussion. But I mean, what I'm saying today on the show is
Hello?
why.
Papa, can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me, Papa? Hello? I'm
Yes,
here.
I can hear you. I can hear you. So come, go ahead. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
The show is why? Yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I can. I'm watching you live, and I can hear you. Maybe I should come on. I can hear you, so go ahead. Okay. Yeah, can you hear me? I think that so yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I'm watching you live, and I can hear you. Maybe I should come on. I can hear you, so go ahead. I think that so yeah, yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I'm watching you live. I can hear you, so go ahead.
I don't know what the issue is, but it seems like Komisanusi's audio is filtering into the feed. I don't know what the issue is.
I don't know what the issue is.
Well, I don't know what the issue is, but if you can try once again to call in, I'd very much appreciate that. Um, so the question is, why do we talk about other people rather than talk to them directly when conflicts arise in relationships? Sometimes, talking to others feels safe. Feels safer than confrontation, and I believe that without confrontation, sometimes we don't get issues resolved. And I've always been of the opinion that some conversations are tough, but we need to have them. We need to have them. It is when we have these conversations that we are actually able to cross certain hurdles in relationships that we never thought is possible. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Hello, Papa. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
I can hear you. Are you there?
Hello? Hello. Hello, Papa. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you.
Very clearly. Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, if you can hear me, just go ahead.
I can hear you. Are you there? Hello? Hello. Hello, Papa. Can you hear me clearly? Yes, I can hear you. Very clearly. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Yes, if you can hear me, just go ahead. I can hear you. Are you there? Hello? Hello. Hello, Papa. Can you hear me clearly? Yes, I can hear you. Very clearly. Hello? Hello? Yeah. Yes, if you can hear me, just go ahead.
It's such a drama on the show today. It is such a drama on the show today. Hello. Uh, I have a feeling there's something wrong with your audio at the other end. Do you want to look at it?
Hello?
Yeah. So, coming, I can hear you clearly. But if you want to try and call back again, that'll be fine as well. But I can hear you very clearly.
Hear me?
Oh, yes, I
Can you?
can hear you.
Okay. Are you all things clear now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Good. So as I was saying, sorry for all the technical glitches. These things happen, and
They do.
when they do, when they do happen, they make you sometimes feel as if you haven't got your game together.
Mm-hmm.
So as I was saying before all this issues happened, I think from the onset of that relationship, to me, probably the relationship never had a strong foundation enough, because I feel that if you are close confidant to somebody and you call yourselves very good friends, there should be that point where you can actually sit down and talk to the person when they have offended you. But I think why people get to go to the third party and talk about it, I want to say it's lack of maturity, one, and again, lack of trust in that relationship. Because if I have a confidence in a relationship and I trust that relationship that much, I should be able to come to you and say, look, this is what you've done, and I'm not happy with you, rather than tell a third person. Because what that does actually, it kind of causes a lot of friction between the parties concerned. And it's a thing. It has almost become a norm now, where people find it hard to tell the person who is actually involved. You tell a third party, and the third party tells somebody else, and what you have is a spiral effect, because whatever goes around is going to come around eventually.
Absolutely.
And it's to come back to that point. Still come back to that point that you never wanted to be in the initial stages. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I had to pause for you to make your point.
Okay.
Kami,
Yeah.
I made a couple of points before you joined the show, and one of there are a lot of reasons that account for this thing we're talking about. And if you see, deeply, you'd see that I think it's inherently a human nature thing, for the most part, because so Kami, I have seen people in the same church, okay, hugging each other after the service, before the service, after the service. They hug each other, they laugh, they ask after the family and everything. And during the week, you hear conversation about this. These people talk about each other to other people, what they did, even prior to the time they were hugging. And this is not just a Christian thing. I have seen people from different religions do it. And that is one. The question now is, do we consider, because you already said that these things have consequences, do we consider the fact that by the time what you've said about this person in conflict, what you say to other people, by the time the thing turns around, 100 other things that the person never did may have been added to what is spread around.
Of course,
and by the time it reaches the person, go ahead. What do you say?
Of course, there'll be a lot of embellishment of the facts when you tell a third party, because when you talk to a third party about that situation, or whoever talks about it to the third party, what you want to do is kind of, in the eyes of whoever you are talking to, that person, to actually look at it from a one angle sided view, because you're presenting your own facts according to your own truths. The other party is not there to defend himself or herself. You get my point? So whatever picture you paint whilst telling that person what happened or what transpired is what that person believes outrightly, unless that person is someone who is not into such a situation, who likes to say, okay, you know one thing, let's call this guy. Let's talk about this together. But if you even want, whatever motivates you to leave that so-called friend to tell a third party, as I said earlier on, the relationship is unhealthy. And then secondly, you telling the third party, the question is, for what purpose, for what reason? Why are you telling the third party? That's the big question we ask ourselves. Why do you, then, like you rightly said, people see you hug each other and all that stuff, and then right just after that, the next thing you switch. So it's like a two-faced thing. It's like a two-faced thing, and it's unhealthy. So, and I think sometimes, this might sound funny, but I think, and don't you think that sometimes it could be, should I use the word low self-esteem? Is that possible? Could that be a reason or a factor as well?
Well, speaking of low self-esteem, there's a way that I looked at it. And I think for the most part, at the bottom of these behaviors, we avoid confrontation.
That's a strong one. Yeah.
And I've always believed, like I said earlier on, that some conversations are tough, but we need to have them.
Have them, yeah.
And every relationship, no matter how beautiful we think it is, no matter how nice it is, will still be tested. So how do we handle them when our relationships are tested? And so, Kami, let me push you a little forward a bit. Let's look at another perspective. Sometimes, so Kami, people respect you so much. They feel that telling you hurt them or you've done something wrong to them will diminish how much, the respect they have for you comes across to you, or they cannot look you in the eyes so that they will not offend you, and then they don't want to, tell you directly. And that's a very huge and injurious thing when it comes to leadership. When people respect you so much as a leader, and they do not want to tell you. Yes. What do you think?
Well, that's a dangerous curve actually in this conversation. Because a leader, let's look at it from leadership angle. If a leadership finds itself in that situation where people cannot actually look them in the face and tell them the truth, even no matter how close or how what do you call that policy, open door policy they operate.
Right.
Then that's a dangerous trend. It's a real dangerous trend, because when that happens, that means when people know you are heading for danger, they wouldn't even tell you. Because it's all about having the boldness to look you in the face and say to you, look, what you are doing is wrong, or what you're about to do is not right. And you see, as I always said, if the two parties or three parties are in the boat and one is messed up and you fail to tell the person to his or her face what is wrong, and you're still in that boat, believe me, that boat will capsize. And the fallout will not be healthy for any one of the parties involved. And like you rightly said, sometimes also, just to narrow into what you said earlier on, sometimes I think, I'm looking at it from sometimes the entertainment angle. Could it be that sometimes we get kind of awestruck about the person's personality? I mean, the personality is so overwhelming that we look at, oh, this person is a semi-god. I mean, the other party has in his or her mind thought that, oh, this person can't do no wrong.
Right.
He's got everything together. You know what I'm saying? When people think that people are falling with, oh, this guy will never fall, this guy can never do this. I mean, in terms of you marking out a particular level of expectation from that personality, saying, oh, I bet a party will never do this. I know he can never do this. And in that wise, we give them a total of absolute trust. And that's trust in humanity, which actually is absolutely wrong. Because as we all grew up, we heard that word saying that to her, it's human.
But to forgive
So
is divine.
when we kind of put people in the position or the corner of a semi-god, that's where the problem is. And I think, I'm not trying to diss anyone, I think this has a lot to do with what we see today in the world of entertainment, music in Africa as a continent. We see it happen every day to the so-called kings of Afrobeats, kings of music, even not only Afrobeats. There are so many examples abound across the globe. So many. An example, even though it's not too directly linked to this, but it's something I can draw a point from. Remember when Bob Marley had a doctor's examination about his foot, his toe, he was told he had cancer, and some who were with him who knew actually that this man had cancer in that toe, and this could actually lead to his death, they were not bold enough to tell him to go for the operation. The story is there on the internet. It's such a sad thing. I mean, an icon such as Bob Marley, you would expect that somebody, all those hangers will be able to say, okay, please, you have to do this. Even though he has his own beliefs as a Rasta, you get what I'm saying? But the fact is, that is the kind of atmosphere that is really, really unhealthy. When you have angers on people around you who look at you like you're a semi-god and things are going wrong, and this thing might actually lead to your death, and they're not telling you. But the funniest thing is, even why they didn't tell Bob Marley to say all this, it was out there that he had a cancer. You get my point? And that he was refusing medication. So obviously, a third party somehow actually spoken about the condition. So I think the fact of being a semi-god at times and inability of people to brace up and say, look, I've got to take him to his face, is what actually happens in this situation.
I have an older brother, someone we all looked up to in the industry way back in Nigeria. He looked at me one day and he said, Tony, I said, yes. He said, I know I stand a risk of people not telling me when I'm messing up because of my position. He said, I know people would rather go ahead and talk about me out there, but when they see me, they tell me the most beautiful things. Whereas the same people who are telling me how wonderful I am have reservations about me. But rather than tell me, they would choose to tell other people. He said, you know what I do? I said, what? He said, I do not wait for people to correct me before I correct myself. I just assume at the end of the day, I just review my day because I know there are so many places where I went wrong, but people will not tell me. And that takes me to another position of leadership. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge Clean Cuts, Joe of Clean Cuts. He says, that's something I'm really working on, having that difficult conversation. There is no way. No, it doesn't matter how beautiful the relationship is. We're all going to get to that point where the relationship is tested. And the only way we can resolve it and move forward is have those tough conversation. It's part of the evolving of a relationship. And Joe goes further to say, I believe as men, we sometimes are worried about what will be said, showing our vulnerable side in a relationship. And that's a tricky one for men as well. You know, men do not want to be vulnerable because we feel that, oh, a man has to be strong. A man has to learn how to keep secrets and all that.
Men don't show emotion.
And all those conditionings, you know, are so ingrained in our subconscious that when somebody wrongs us, we feel that if I tell them, hey, you hurt me, I'm being a woman in the traditional sense of looking at things. But you know, in the new way of doing things, in the new consciousness, there's a saying that being vulnerable is actually a position of strength. Is an expression of strength, not weakness. Like when we tell our children, you know, you're a man, men don't cry. And then they bottle these things up that they should cry about, and when they get married, rather than talk to their spouses, they choose to vent and in the way they beat them, and that's where domestic violence comes in. I also want to acknowledge a humble legend all the way from Maryland. He says, "Good afternoon, Chief." Well, good afternoon, Chief. So Sugami, let me take you to another part of, you know, my thought process, which is, Sugami, you know, God puts you in a position where you are the benefactor to a lot of people. And there are so many around you as a leader, you know, whatever. If God puts you maybe financially ahead of some people. And the benefit, maybe in terms of school fees, in terms of how you know, pick their bills, how you support them financially. And they see that you're treading a path of self-destruction. And rather than talk to you about it, they will think within themselves, like, if I tell this person this truth, if I tell this person they're doing this thing wrong to me and to others, where will my meal from them continue to come? And so many times we'll see you walking towards a path of self-destruction, but just because they know that when they talk to you about what you're doing wrong, it's going to affect what they benefit from you. They'd rather let you become self-destruct and have what they get from you than to do the reverse and risk losing what they get from you. You know, I don't know how you see. I don't know how you see this scenario.
I think that is one of the most common ones just mentioned, where people, when that person is a benefactor, you even if you see what is wrong, you pretend as if you don't know whatever he or she is doing is wrong. Even if whatever gratuity, so to say, you get from that person is even coming illegally. That's why the issue of drugs and what do we call it now? Drug trafficking and all that. When you look at most of the arrests when they are made, or most of the conversations surrounding them, you find that there's always somebody who knows something who never spoke about it. You get me, Bupa?
Yeah.
There's always someone who knows that this is happening and is wrong and never said anything about it. Why? Just like rightly mentioned, it's because that person, he or she, is gaining from that individual. Now, one of the factors you mentioned that might not let the person say anything also is because they know, well, my stream of income or my stream of benefits had come to an end. And in that particular situation, you find out the other party is a vulnerable person. And this happens all the time. It happens all the time. And we see it all around the world, even in leadership, that people wouldn't even stand up to talk to a leader. For example, the politics that we see all across the globe, when a particular party knows that even whoever is the head of that political party has erred or is going the wrong way, some find it hard to even tell him or her, and look, what you are doing is wrong, or what you're about to do is not the right thing. And it all comes down to what you said earlier, about being a benefactor. I think poverty, most times, it doesn't help you to be the real person that you're supposed to be. And again, the inability to stand financially is a big problem to many. And that's why we see the world where it is today. And that's why the whole world is upside down today. I mean, it's so hard. Okay, look, for example, some of the things that have been highlighted in Africa in terms of kidnapping and all that stuff. The police actually says that an estimation of people being kidnapped, well, the kidnapping is actually being caused by family members. Can you imagine? Even these are some of them are benefactors of this individual. They would plan for that person to be kidnapped. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And even some when they are caught in things like drug smuggling, as I said earlier on, you find that there's a chain. It's a common thing. They know that the person was doing, which is actually wrong in terms of when it comes to the law. But nobody is bold enough to stand up and say stop what you're doing, because they are all, milking that particular stream of income, no matter how illegal it is.
Talk to me. Don't talk about me is what we're discussing on Resofrik FM, all these things today. And I have, as a form of blessing on the show today, Olakomi Sanusi, the CEO, founder of Planted Works Media, all the way from London, and also the creator of this highly explosive, highly engaging podcast called Voices Everywhere, which takes place on TikTok every Saturday morning at 5 o'clock. Time, what is it? Is it CST?
US time. Yeah, that's US. In UK, it's 10:30 GMT.
GMT, and it's around 5 o'clock EST.
Yeah.
Ish. It's a show you need to listen to on Saturday morning. You can also request to join, and I can tell you I've seen situations where this 45 minute intended show runs into like an hour and a half, because you have like 15,000 people joining the show, and people coming in to offer their opinion. So it's a blessing that we have this highly gifted a broadcaster of huge repute join us on the show today to shed light on this conversation, which is
Thank you.
Talk to me, don't talk about me.
About me. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
So, Kami, the avoidance of conversation or community conversation, for the most part, is one of the reasons some of us inadvertently destroy golden relationships.
True.
Golden relationships. We would rather talk to other people about a situation or about a person, and there are times when even after doing this, we hear the contribution of the people we tell. They amplify and toxify a simple conflict that you brought to them in such a way that before you even leave those conversations, you're regretting, like, why did I bring it? But also, Sukomi, let's look at part of the risks, one of the major risks associated with this. And I'm going to say something in Yoruba, to trigger this direction of conversation. It is said that Shemikin bie logunore. In other words, the medicine of friendship is that you wrong me and I ask you. But over the years, from my conversation with people and personal experience, I have seen that Shemikin bie can become a spiritual warfare against you. In other words, someone wrongs you in the name of being a good Christian, a good Buddhist, a good Muslim, a good spiritual sojourner. You are following that principle of relationship, that when somebody wrongs you, call them. Even as the Bible says, make peace with your brother before you pray to me.
Yes, exactly.
But then you call people and you say, hey, you did this to me, and I'm not happy. And the first thing they either do is play victim, gaslight you, in other words, make you feel like you're the one that is wrong, completely evade that conversation, respond to you in a way that leaves you confused. Like, I'm telling these people they wronged me, and the feedback I'm getting is making me ask myself, am I really actually the one deluding myself by thinking they wronged me? Am I actually the one who wronged them? Because they twist things around. You begin to, and some people are good at doing that. When you tell them they wronged you, by the time the conversation is over, you are the one apologizing to them. And that's some form of manipulation, because sometimes you could be dealing with people who don't want to accept it.
That's true.
And And also, the riskiest part of it, in my opinion, is when you tell people and they say, "Oh, I'm sorry. So I did this to
Mm,
you. I didn't even know that I did it. Oh,
mm,
forgive me. I'm sorry." And then you believe that that principle of asking your friend, talking to your friend when they wrong you, has come to
yeah.
play in a healthy way, and you're happy. You drink together, you chat. But then a
Yes.
week after, somebody calls you and asks you what's wrong between you and so person, and you're asking yourself, how did this person know anything was ever wrong? And they'll be like,
Mm.
you know, this person called me on Monday, whereas you
I
spoke
said
with the person on Sunday. And then the way they describe you is like, look at that, idiot. Look at that mother,
Mm,
calling me and
mm,
saying that I did this to them. And when you hear that, it breaks your heart because
mm.
Shemikin beer has become, a source
Mm,
of
something.
warfare. It has
Yeah.
become a source of toxicity and regret to you, or pain. You
Yeah.
know,
I think that's why there's quite a lot of toxic nature in relationships these days. Because the like you rightly said, the what do you call it? It's what I call it, a grace. The grace to actually ask questions. Because we come from a society where we don't ask questions. Do you agree with me? That's
right,
that. That's a society where we grew up. We don't ask questions. See, I'll give you a very simple example or scenario. Look at the typical African born abroad. I mean, the West, USA, Canada, London. They have a desire to question,
mm,
which you and I didn't grow up to do.
right,
They have this. There's nothing you could tell any young person in America, Canada, wherever you are based now as an immigrant or what have you. Your children have a desire to question things. Don't wear that boot. Why, Dad?
that's right,
You've got a good answer. Even though some families still bring over that mentality from Africa where the child shouldn't have a voice, but it's not going to go on for a long time because
right,
the structures are there, the systems are there to checkmate whatever thing you're doing that is not right in terms of child development. So having said that, Shamiki Mbielugore is more like I'm looking for the right word. Should we call it more like a value shift or something that we grew up with? Because you find out in the real analysis that Temikin Bielogore, well, when the friend is not forthcoming and asking you, what do you do?
mm,
We still come back to the same question.
that's right,
Talk to me. Don't talk about me. Now, in that situation where I said we have a culture back home, a culture in Africa, which doesn't allow you to ask questions, and it's been passed on from one generation to the other.
right,
It's that bad. And that is why today we see Africa in the situation it is. People find it hard to ask questions.
mm,
And that is why a lot of people are giving kudos to the younger generation of Nigerians or Africans who are rising up and saying, no, Mr. President, you can't do this. Why would you do this? You and I know even when back in school, when we were growing up, you dare not look at your teacher and ask questions.
mm,
Even if he tells you 1 + 1 is 17, you dare not ask him because there's a myth around him, there's authority around him.
right,
And I think the quest to allow people to question will go a long way in relationships. Now, going back to what you actually said, the analogy you gave, that the two friends kind of talk together and kind of quash whatever has happened. And then later you hear a third party talking about that. This person said that. I think also it's about maturity. It's about maturity. And that is why I believe that sometimes there have to be boundaries in relationships. There should be boundaries. But I could rightly say a true relationship, no matter how true and how close a relationship, it always has boundaries. Have you noticed anywhere that you don't have boundaries? There's always that possibility of things spilling over. And that is why the concept of compromise comes into play. One, maturity should be the bedrock of any relationship. And then the act of compromise. Compromise is not actually saying, oh, well, I give up. Compromise is finding ground, a balance in between two parties concerning a particular situation. And when that compromise is not there, the balance is not there in that relationship in terms of maturity and what the interests are, what the situation is, then that is where you have a problem. There's a crack correct in that relationship.
right,
And if you don't nip it in the bud, while it's more like a tiny crack, it's going to, well, first time and become a big hole. I think that's where we all err. We make that mistake that talking about things, sometimes we say, oh, I don't want to confront this guy. I don't want to ask him these questions. But you're not asking is actually the biggest problem of that relationship.
That's right.
Because you're not asking, you're giving room for so many kind of thoughts to come in. You're giving room for speculation. You're giving room for hearsays. You're giving room for people who have no idea or a clear picture of what transpired to drop in ideas that you wouldn't naturally have even thought about. You get me?
Right.
And that is where we are. I think for any healthy relationship, no matter how long or how well it is, even when these things occur, we should be able to sit down and talk to one another. Yeah, we might get angry and say nasty words to each other. And I remember you always saying things like, you always say this thing when back in Nigeria that it's not what you say to people that matters, is how you make them feel. When you have said what you say. So the real thing is that we need to appreciate a culture of talking, a culture of asking questions. Oh, I didn't feel too good on Friday about what you did. Why did you do that? You know, even if the person is going to tell you a lie anyway, the fact that you have giving room for that conversation to hold place, I think it's better than just keeping mute and then a third party is involved in what transpired between the two parties. I think we need to have the culture of talking, having strong conversations. Like you rightly said, especially men. Men, we find it very hard to have conversations. And like I said, it's a mindset, it's a cultural thing sometimes, which has over time kind of taken root in the way we deal with ourselves in our lifestyle, which is very unhealthy. Even that this thing we're talking about talking, it also boils down and crosses over to the family unit, where you have the men say anything in the house, even when things are going wrong. Just keep mute. They're not stupid. Sometimes just feel that, oh, what's the point of the conversation? Nobody's going to listen. But anyway, have the conversation. Have the conversation.
Just like they say, which I already said in the course of this conversation.
Yeah.
Some conversations are tough, but we still need to have them.
We need to.
And those are opportunities of crossing hurdles towards the evolution of relationships.
Yeah.
Yes, conflict delayed or conflict delayed is conflict resolution. Conflict resolution delayed.
Denied. Yeah.
Okay. Is conflict resolution denied? I'd say.
Yeah.
Now, some of the questions that I like to ask people out there is when you avoid conversations, when you're angry with someone or when you feel wronged by someone, are you seeking peace or permission to stay angry? Are you avoiding discomfort or protecting your values? Now, let's remember that growth begins when honesty meets compassion.
That's true.
When it meets compassion. As long as the people you talk to honor you enough to acknowledge that they've wronged you. And there's also this saying that I came across, which is that when I tell you you wronged me, you do not have a right to say you didn't.
You listen.
Because the person who says he or she is being wronged or has been wronged is the one at the receiving end. So it's always good and respectful to honor the other people. And when people say you wronged me, listen to them actively. Don't listen passively. Don't listen just to don't listen just to respond or to defend. Listen to understand where they're coming from, to really soak in their emotion, and to be able to analyze and see what
we do on social media. Everybody just jumps into comments.
Oh, that's a different world entirely.
Not to understand whatever is being said.
Yes,
so, like,
that's a different world entirely.
Yep.
But also, like we say, to digress a little bit, social media is a social place. It's up to you what you do with it. It's up to you. True. You could be positive, you could be negative. Unfortunately, Sukomi, it is the very toxic ones that attract a lot of traction.
But that's it.
That attract a lot of traction. It's the very negative spaces where you see a lot of people, where you have online judges, online in-laws, online lawyers, online advocates, and may God help us all. Social media could be as healthy and could be as toxic as we put it into use. My closing reflection on today's episode of All These Things is that talking to others can be a bridge or a
Mm.
barrier.
True.
Also, healing asks us to choose courage over comfort. Comfort is you don't want to talk about it, but the relationship is getting damaged, and the other person is assuming. You are assuming. You could have 101, 1,001 assumptions, and all of them are wrong until you
Mm.
have that conversation.
Mm.
And also, the conversation we avoid often holds the freedom that we seek.
Mm.
It does. So now my closing cue for everybody out there, my closing question to you is: what conversation are you postponing, and what might change if you had it?
Mm.
My special gratitude goes to Joe of Clean Cuts uh, LLC. That's the amazing barber shop at the intersection of Hathaway and Turner Road. They're doing an excellent job. You cut your head, you cut your hair there once. You want to go back again. It's one of the very few barber shops where the conversation is warm, where they go the
Mm.
extra mile to make you look good and feel good when you leave. And they don't just cut your hair, they sell you an experience that makes you want to come back. And the man at the helm of affairs there is Joe. You only need to meet this guy to love him and to love the space. Very clean, very healthy, very warm, very respectful. This you will not find a piece of toxicity in that space. And all the way from Lagos, Tolu Lokwe Agbe Davis just joined us as we're about to say goodbye. What we've been discussing is the tendency of people to talk about one another rather than discuss with one another. When people wrong you, why do you talk about them to other people rather than talk
Mm.
to these people who who wronged you? And because of some of the glitches we had today, we're going to have a part two of this conversation. And I have people also from Nigeria who indicated interest to join. Adeja says, can I join? Unfortunately, we're about to say goodbye on today's episode. So next week, be prepared. Join us on all these things as we discuss Talk to Me, Don't Talk About Me. Olakami Sanusi, it's been a wonderful pleasure having you on the show today. It's always a
It's a
blessing when
great
you come
honor.
around. The wisdom, the clarity you bring into conversations, and the very professional touch that comes with it is always something that pushes any presenter to do better when they're having their
Thank you.
show. Thank you so very much. And just in case you are joining us, or I've been with Olasukomi Sanusi all the way from London, the CEO, founder of Planted Works Media, uh, a complete 360-degree media company where they generate graphics, they do post-production, excellent photography. You just need to check at Planted Works Media on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. And of course, you need to check out Voices Everywhere at Voices Everywhere on TikTok. And then you see what the whole thing is all about. My name is Oluwatoyin Ojeyomi, the one you know as Papa T, and by God's grace, the chief representative of the rare breed community, saying its peace, love, and blessing. And remember,
Big up, bro.
big up, big up, big up, big up, big up, brother, like we always say. And remember that conversation delayed is conflict resolution denied.
Good night.
I'll be with you next week again. Bye, and God bless.